Hi, I'm Bob Tabor with www.learnvisualstudio.net. Previously, we saw how to use adaptive triggers and the Visual State Manager to change the layout of your application based on the current window size. We viewed then after that a technique using adaptive triggers in the Visual State Manager to make dramatic changes to the layout of an application using a little creativity and a grid control, and then based on the given trigger for the different layouts to put that a series of stack panels in different cells of a grid, and then also change up the call spans, things of that nature, and it worked great. But in this lesson, we're going to take a look at a second technique that allows you to create a dedicated view for a given device family that your application could potentially run on. And at runtime, the dedicated view, or whether what they call the device-specific view, will be chosen based on the device that your app is currently running on. It's a very simple technique. Microsoft has made it extremely easy for you to use this. However, there are a few advanced techniques. I'm going to show you a great article that will dive into those advanced topics related to this. But let's show the demo that I created first of all here. As you can see, I have just a simple Hello World style application running on the desktop. Hello Desktop Device Specific View. Now you saw that we had a blue background and we had a fairly large font. If I were to change the device that this runs on, choosing one of the mobile emulators to debug on, let's go ahead and run the application again. And this time you can see that the background is red and that we have a smaller font used for Hello Mobile Device Specific View. Notice that the word is changed there at the top. Now, at first glance you might say, well, this doesn't look any different as far as the results are concerned from the techniques that we looked at previously. That's absolutely correct. However, take a look at the implementation. Now, keep in mind that this is the simplest implementation that I could possibly show you in order to demonstrate the technique. You can take this as far as you want to go. So in this case, I created two additional folders in my project. One's called Device Family Desktop and the other one is Device Family Mobile. And by creating these folders, any pages that I add to those folders will be utilized at runtime for your application. So you can see that I have created two main page.xamls. In this first folder, the Device Family Desktop folder, I've added a grid with a background blue and the text block with different text and a different font size. Now, you might say to yourself, well, this is great. It's much cleaner than using the Visual State Manager and the adaptive triggers, and that's true. And I think that's one big benefit, especially if you're going to make dramatic sweeping changes to your layout based on the device. Here is the second main page.xaml inside of the Device Family Mobile folder. Let's go ahead and take a look at the grid now. I just set it to background red. Text block, changed up the text in the text block, and changed the font size. Again, no Visual State Manager, no adaptive triggers, pretty easy stuff. And so I think that you can think about this in terms of using entirely different controls for layout based on whether you anticipate this will be used in a desktop or mobile. Now, one other thing that I want to say here is that while this specific little tiny application that I built does not utilize the Visual State Manager and adaptive triggers, you might still hope to use that for your application because there are different screen resolutions even inside of these different device families. So just keep that in mind, that while they do overlap in functionality, it's not a complete overlap. You might choose a combination of these two techniques. Just the only difference would be what functionality that you would display for a phone at a 1080p screen versus what you would display on the desktop at a 1080p screen. You see what I'm saying? Because when you're holding a physical device like this device here, your thumbs are going to be at the bottom of the device, and so you might change up the layout based on how most users use their app, their phone rather, with just their thumb. So you'd probably leave this to just purely in information here at the top, and then at the bottom it would be more controls that would allow you to type things in or make selections. Whereas on a desktop, you're using a mouse and you're scrolling around the entire screen. It doesn't really matter where you put things. So just keep that in mind. These are not mutually exclusive techniques. They can be used together. Now, I promised you a great resource to learn a little bit more about this technique. So let me show you this URL, bitdo device-specific views. This will take you to an article that's written by a gentleman by the name of Igor Ralic. I hope I pronounced his name correctly. But let's take a look at that, because I want to show you that you can take this example 2 steps further. First of all, we only talked about using the folder called device family-mobile and device family-desktop. However, you can also just leave everything in the same root folder and then just append on this extension device family-mobile.xaml or device family-desktop.xaml, and it'll work the same way. Now, if you have 2 files with the same name, or you have one named this way where you actually change the file name, and you have a folder that has device family-mobile with a main page.xaml inside of it, then you can take a look at this kind of what I would call the advanced scenario, where he describes how you can use the initialized component event handler to choose at runtime which version of main page.xaml you'll choose from. So I'll leave you to that if this is something that you're interested in. But at any rate, I hope that this makes sense and that you'll find it helpful. I think, again, another tool in your toolbox for adaptive layout, and it can be combined with what you already know about using adaptive triggers and the Visual State Manager. All right, so that's all we got to say about that. We'll keep moving forward in the next video. Thank you.